Hi, my name is Kaitlyn Hostetler, and today I will be sharing my final agency presentation for Social Work 2375 for the fall 2025 semester. So for my volunteering, I was able to volunteer at an agency named Spark Learning. This was a play therapy center for children with autism, and I was able to volunteer at the North Austin location, which was located in Cedar Park, Texas. For their missions and goals, their mission statement on their website states, "Our mission is to create a lasting impact on the lives of our families by setting a higher standard of care and fostering meaningful progress through empathy and excellence. We believe children learn best when they feel comfortable, feel cared for, and are having fun." So to go along with our mission statement, they also have some goals, which include improving social communication skills, increasing independence skills, decreasing challenging and aggressive behaviors, and increasing their peer socialization skills. Through Sparks Learning program and how they do things, they're able to work on all these goals and this mission statement with their clients. So the primary clients that they serve is families that have children with autism, and there are some social problems that I would like to address. So the first one is behavioral challenges. I believe that's one of the biggest ones when a client is having an aggressive behavior or maladaptive behaviors. It can be hard for the therapist or the BCBAs to figure out, do we send this child home because it is interrupting their learning experiences and interactions with other students as other students are seeing what's happening. So that can be hard for them to figure out, but most of the time, students do stay unless they do get sick. That's when they go home. But a lot of the times, when they have an aggressive behavior, they will create a safe space for them and be able to just help them feel comfortable, as a lot of times they're going through a hard time why they're having this aggressive behavior. Another social problem that I found was the communication barriers. So a lot of the students here at Spark Learning, since they have autism, they are nonverbal, so it makes it harder to learn how to figure out how to communicate with them. A lot of them use an AAC device to communicate, which is basically like an iPad and it has the words and they click and it talks for them, and that's basically their voice. So, a critical part of being a therapist in this situation, or just communicating in general, is figuring out how to communicate and understand your client's emotions and behaviors, as they don't have, per se, their own voice. They have someone else talking for them, and they have to figure out how to use that and use their words with intention. So, what does Spark Learning do? So, they do a lot. Spark Learning is a play therapy center for children with autism, ranging from ages 3 to 17. They use their own approach of applied behavioral analysis, which is ABA therapy. And the main focus is on play. That's how they do the therapy. So they do individual sessions, which is what I've been able to experience a lot of, which is one-on-one with a therapist and a client, and sometimes an additional therapist like a BCBA will sit in if the child's experiencing some new behaviors and they want to help create some new targets or figure out how to run this or that. So it is additional. There's sometimes two therapists or a volunteer will sit in with them on their sessions. This is where they focus on the individual clients, their learning and their growing, and each child is so different. Like some children will be there once a week for a few hours, and other children are there pretty much full time, 5 hours, 5 days a week for hours a day. So it really just depends on the child, as each child's spectrum of autism is so different and their behaviors that they need to work on is not similar to anyone else's. And another thing they offer is social groups, which I was able to sit in on each one for each of my volunteering sessions. This is where multiple people, so I was able to sit in on one with teenagers. So it started out with two teenagers, and I'm just able to see how they do vocational activities together, how they communicate, how they play games, how they like use their AAC devices together. And another student actually joined last week. So that was nice to see a third person joining and how they kind of just all interact with each other using their devices and doing different activities together. I think that's a great way to get them engaged with each other because they don't all have that opportunity, especially with the older kids. So each child is also assessed at the beginning at Spark Learning before they go into having a one-on-one or group therapy, just to kind of see what their targets and the behavioral needs are to help them be successful with their learning. For sources of funding, Spark Learning is funded through insurance, out-of-pocket pay, and private pay. Most people don't do private pay, so it's usually insurance and then some do pocket pay. And they are also a private agency because they're privately owned. They are a for-profit agency. So my responsibilities for volunteering included shadowing a therapist and being included in one-on-one sessions. I was able to learn how to understand how a play therapy session is run, how each therapist is kind of a little bit different with how they run things or run targets, how each child is different. I was able to engage with clients with running different targets or helping them play games or just being involved in their sessions in general, which I really enjoyed. And through this experience, I have been able to see how each child is so different. No two children are the same with their needs or behavioral goals. They're all different. So for agency networking, Spark Learning does network with two other agencies, the Autism Society of Texas and the Down Syndrome Association of Central Texas. So for the Autism Society Central Texas, they do fundraise annually with them. They run a girls' monthly social group, they run referrals, and they do other events. And then for the Down Syndrome Association of Central Texas, in October 2025, they worked together with Spark Learning. They collaborated for an event, which was called the Buddy Walk. I think that's amazing. They helped them fundraise for education and client needs, which helps both programs out. As far as my learning experiences, my most memorable experience at Spark Learning has been building connections and just experiences with different clients, being able to engage with them, being able to play with them, and just to kind of learn how they learn in this classroom type scenario. So seeing each client like get excited and just like to have me there as part of their session and like want to show me their toys or something they made at school or they wanted to show me how to eat their lunch. It just made me like really excited and kind of warmed my heart. So I think I'll remember that always. This volunteer experience has been very fulfilling for me. The most significant thing I learned through my volunteer experience was patience. I do believe I was a patient person before this experience, but this has opened me up to being more patient with children in general and the spectrum of autism as it was a new population for me and I haven't really done work with them before. I also got to really see what it's like to be a play therapist or a child's therapist compared to different types of therapy and what it really looks like in this situation. So I'm grateful for that. I also was able to sit in on one speech therapy session this semester because they offer speech therapy as well. And I really enjoyed that because I was able to kind of compare how it's similar in some aspect, but at the same time, it's also different. Speech therapy is more for the kids that are more verbal and good with their words. So I would liked being able to compare that as well. And then here's just my reference, just from Spark Learning. And that's it for my presentation. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this class and my whole volunteering experience.